Hello and welcome to a tutorial on how to make twin stick shooter controls with a 360 controller. Before we start, we're going to quickly create 3 different axes for the controller, 2 being for the right stick, 1 for the trigger. So we're going to go to Edit, Project Settings, Input. And the input manager, they already have everything set up for us, how horizontal and vertical, they get the left stick input for us, so like I said, we got to make it for the right stick. So I'm going to quickly duplicate the cancel, and I'm going to rename it to right horizontal, and I'm going to get rid of this, set this to 1, that's fine, set that to 1. So here we want to change the type. Instead of key or mouse button, we're going to change it to joystick axis. And for the right stick, we're going to go on the Unity wiki. For the 360 controller, the right stick uses the 4th axis, which is for horizontal, and the 5th for vertical. And then the right trigger, if you go under axes, the right trigger is 10. So since this is the right horizontal, right horizontal, I'm going to set this the 4th axis. We're going to duplicate it, rename it to right vertical, and we're going to have the vertical to invert, and then set this to the 5th. And then we're going to duplicate it one more time. Instead of right vertical, it'll be right trigger. Take off the invert for the trigger, and then we're going to set the axis to 10th. And that's how we set up the inputs. Now we can set up everything else. So first we're going to make a plane. So we're going to go game object, 3D object, plane. I want to quickly stretch it out. If you have a texture for it, I say throw texture, it helps. And you'll see why. So I'm going to throw a texture on already. And it's stretched. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to materials and just change the tiling to 10, 10. See, that looks a bit better. Done. So now we're going to quickly make another game object. And we're going to make a cube, and this is going to be the player. So I'm going to call this player. And I'm going to quickly add a component. I'm just going to add a rigid body. So now, we're going to fix the camera real quick. So for the camera, I'm going to raise it. We want to set the camera's projection to orthographic. And we just want to raise it up. And you can have this however you want, but I think 45 degrees on the X is good. And then just raise it up. So if we quickly go to the game, he's centered, which it looks good, but we have to program the camera. We'll do that later though. So, but now we're going to go back to the player. Oh, I didn't even name it player. And now we're going to quickly add a script, and we're going to call this script player. Then we're going to open it. Here, we're going to create a public variable, and it's going to be public float speed. So in the inspector, we can always adjust the speed for the player. And then in the update, we want to get the left stick inputs. And in order to do that, we're going to create 2 variables, float x and float y. So I'm going to go float x. What x is going to be input dot get axis, my bad, and it's going to be horizontal. And we're going to create the second one, float y equals input dot get axis, and we're going to get vertical. And right there we already get the left stick inputs. Now we have to use that information to make the player move. And to do that, we're going to do transform which is the game object's transform, dot translate, and we're going to do x times time dot delta time times speed, and that's the x value. The y value is going to be 0 because we're not moving in the y space. And then the z is going to be y times time dot delta time times speed. And we're going to do one more parameter. It'll be the space dot world. This is very important because if we set it to self and when we rotate, the controls is going to be kind of messed up. So now, since we have the movement done, we can save. Since we have the movement done, we can save it. And we can go back and just quickly test it out. As we can see, oh, forgot set the speed, and set the speed to 10. And now we move. That's good. So let's go back to the script. And we're going to do the rotation now. Same thing, we're going to create two variables to access the right stick variable. So I'm going to make float, we'll call it rx equals, input dot get access right horizontal. And then float ry equals input dot get access right vertical. And now, since we have both right stick values, we need to get the angle so we can set the angle of the player. In order to get the angle, we can create one more variable called float angle equals mathf dot atan2, because we want to get the angle in radians, and we're going to put our values in there, rx and ry. So with that, we have the angle. So now we have to set that. Well, we have to set the player's angle. So how, not angle, rotation. So in order to do that, we're going to go transform dot rotation equals quaternion dot Euler angles. We're going to go 0 angle and then 0. The reason we're rotating on the y-axis. So we save that. Let's really go back, test that out. And look at that. I can move. Oh, I keep forgetting speed. Quickly restart. Set this to 10. So I can move and rotate. Right? Perfect. So now let's quickly fix the camera. We're going to have the camera lock on, will stay center, will follow the player. And so the player will be centered of the camera at all times. So we're going to go to the camera. We're going to make a script here. And we're going to call it camera follow. Create an ad. And then we're going to open it. So here we're going to create, first we're going to create a public game object, and we're going to have it called target. We'll call it target. So we're going to throw the player game object in here and set for the camera's target. And then we're also going to create another variable, public float angle. One more, and we're going to call public float height. So now, instead of calling it update, we're going to call it late update. Reason for that is, well, when dealing with camera, anything to do with the camera, you always want to have it in the late update, because in the update function, it will get when the player's position is changed, the late update will be called after the update, and the camera already gets the player's position from there. It's in the Unity manual as well. They advise you to always use the late update. So now in the late update, we're going to set the transform of the camera to the target's position. We target.transform.position. And now we're going to quickly change the position. And we're going to do transform.position minus equals vector 3 dot forward times angle, the angle. And with that, we're going to again type in transform.position equals new vector 3 transform.position x, and now instead of transform.position.x, we're going to have it the height, and then transform.position.z. And then we're going to do transform.lookAt target. Target.transform.position, because this function takes in a vector 3. And that's okay. So now save it. If we go back, right now we have our settings here. We're going to throw the player in here. I'm going to set the height to 10, and I'll set the angle to 50. So now if I play it, it looks really bad, but that's okay. We can fix that. We can change the angle here. Okay, 10. I mean, let's set it to 10. 10's good. The height, see, now the camera follows the player, and the player is always centered. And if you want to adjust the distance, you can't, because the camera's an orthographic, we can't really adjust the distance in code. We have to adjust the camera size. So right now it's 5. So if we lower it, oh, way too close. But we can, when we increase it, it zooms out more. But I think 5 is good for now. So now we have all the controls set up. We're going to quickly make a weapon. So we're going to create another cube. And I'm just going to quick raise it here. I'm just going to scale it. And I'm going to call this gun. And I want to have gun a child of the player, so he always follows them. And I'm going to 0 its position. Oops. And then just move it over here, so it's beside him. So that's his little gun. So in the gun, and we're going to make a gun script. Create an add. And then we're going to open it. And I'm going to reload all. Okay. So in the gun script, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need we'll set a variable called public game object bullet. We're going to have, later we're going to create the bullet objects for the gun to shoot. And then we're going to make a public float speed. Speed is going to set the speed of the bullet. Okay, so now that in the start, we're going to type in bullet.getComponent bullet. Don't worry if you get an error. We're going to create our script for the bullet later, and this will get the bullet class. Oh, and then we have to also type in speed equals speed. Like I said, we'll create all this later. So then, instead of using it, we're not going to touch the update. We're going to create our own function. I'm going to call it public. We're going to make it public so we can access this function. Public void shoot. And in here, we're just going to spawn the bullet. So we're going to go type in instantiate bullet. And then we have to set the position. So we're going to set the position of the gun, which will be transform dot position. And then we have to set the rotation. It will be transform dot rotation. And done. Easy. Now let's go back to Unity. So I want to quickly create a bullet object. So I'm going to create a sphere. And I just want to quickly scale it so it kind of looks more like a bullet. And I'm going to get rid of the sphere collider and add a box collider. And I'm going to have the box collider set a trigger. And I'm going to create a rigid body. And now we're going to create the script. And it's going to be the bullet script. So add component, bullet, new script, create and add. Then we're going to open it. Reload all, save it, yes. So in the bullet, we're going to need to create a public float, and that will be called speed once again. But now we're going to add a rigid body variable because we need to get access to the rigid body. So in the start, we're going to type in rigid equals get component rigid body. And then in the update, we're going to type in rigid dot velocity equals transform dot transform direction, and since it's the bullet, we want the bullet to move forward. We're going to do vector 3 dot forward times the speed. So what's happened here? Now that we save it, let's go back to the gun. So what's happening here, the game object is going to have the bullet script. That's why in here we're going to get the bullet script, and then we're going to set the speed, and that's why we have the speed public in the bullet script. So we can access that and then set the speed from there. And then in the update, it'll just shoot forward. So when it spawns the bullet, it's just going to shoot forward. Now, what we want to do, we want to make, let's first rename it to bullet. And I want to make the bullet a prefab. So let's go here, let's make a prefab. Just call it bullet. And we're going to click on the bullet on the hierarchy and drag it to the prefab. So we can get rid of this bullet. So in the gun, I'm going to grab the prefab, throw it in the bullet parameter, and then we can set the speed to, let's say 25. But now we have to go back, and we have to go back to the player. So before the move-in rotation, we're going to quickly make an if statement. But if input dot get access the right trigger, if that input equals 1, we're gonna create another variable, and we're gonna call it public gun. The reason I'm not doing game objects because I can, if we can throw a game object in there and I'll just quickly grab the script. I know I could have done it for the bullet here, but I'm just showing you can do. There's different ways of doing it. So you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. I'm just showing you both ways. So in the gun, we're going to type in gun dot, and we create our public function, shoot. Now I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back, and we're going to run play. So, I forgot to change the settings here for the camera. Set the angle to 10. So now if we oh, we get an error. Oh, I totally forgot. Because we have the gun, we have to throw the gun in there. There we go. See here? So I grabbed the gun object, I threw it in here, it automatically grabs the gun script. So now when we hit play, you can move and shoot, and we can always adjust the speed for the bullet. And to adjust the speed for the bullet, we'll click on gun. Let's increase the speed, let's set it to 50. Go, it's faster. And we can set it to 200, let's see. Doesn't really make a difference. Let's lower it. Let's set it to 1. Oh, it doesn't actually update. Oh, the reason why it doesn't update is because we have it in start. It only changes in the start. If you want to change the speed, we have it in the update. So then, when we hit play, and shoot, we can set it to 50, even faster. We set it to 200. It's really fast. And then we set it to 1. You're just gonna be like bloop. And that's how you make a simple. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you have a question, just comment or message me. And thanks for watching.